I'm excited to be here. Like Steve said, I sat in that exact same seat 2 years ago. And if you guys are anything like me, you came into this going, I don't exactly know what I'm going to learn over the next 2 days, right? And then you certainly said, I don't know how I'm going to take what I don't know what I'm going to learn and put it into practice when I go back to work. And that's kind of how I approach this, but I knew that I always believed that people were our number one asset, right? I remember Good to Great was my favorite book, and there was a chapter in there, and the quote was, the 3 keys to success are people, people, and people. And if you ask me to name 2 more, I say people and people, right? But how much time do we actually spend developing our number one asset, right? We all spend time on strategy and processes, but how much time do we actually spend developing our people? So I knew I had a need to gain understanding and knowledge, and I wasn't exactly sure what that was going to be. So Steve educated me briefly on what the concept was, and I was intrigued. So I came and signed up for this class, and what it did was basically it just shifted my entire focus of where I need to spend my priorities at work. So that's the story I want to share to you, is what's happened over the last 2 years. A little bit of a backdrop of myself and Packer Fastener. We're a wholesale industrial supplier. We've been around since 1998, and we specialize in threaded fasteners, so nuts and bolts. So I guess you would say that's our strategy. We're a nut and bolt specialist. Now, when people describe the simplest things in the world, they either say it's a widget or they say it's the nuts and bolts of it. And widgets don't exist, so by default, we have the simplest business in the entire world. And that means we also have the simplest strategy in the world, Steve, right? And it took us 3 months to figure that out. But our strategy of being a specialist in nuts and bolts is actually very powerful, because we go to market and we compete against large boxed generalists who sell everything under the sun. You know, their catalogs, now it's online, but if they had catalogs, they would be this thick. They sell electrical connectors, hydraulic fittings, janitorial supplies, you know, nuts and bolts, everything else. So we go to market with our differentiating factor being we're a specialist in one very narrow product niche, and that's threaded fasteners. So that's our strategy, right? So once we hammered our strategy, our sales strategy, we came up with our growth strategy. And that was to grow the business through multiple locations, right? So we can go into a geographic area where there's a target market that values our strategy. We can put a brick and mortar store and take market share. So once we discovered that, the number one limiting factor became our ability to recruit, retain, and develop the talent to go out and run those stores, right? So that's where this course became a real game changer for me, right? Because we had the strategy down, we had the growth plan down, but we needed the people to execute it. So this course gave us the foundation, I should say this course, behavioral science, the DISC, everything, gave us the foundation for changing our culture. Prior to meeting Steve and prior to the behavioral sciences, we really just outworked and out-hustled everybody. You know, that's how we were successful, because we had achieved a certain amount of success over 16 years, but it was really just because we worked really hard. If our competition was working 8 days, we were working 9. If they were working 9 days, we were working 10, right? But what the behavioral science has introduced us to is the importance of developing talent. So we shifted our entire focus when it came to culture, and we became very intentional about having a culture that developed people. Right? In fact, now, and I'll give everybody a copy to hand out, and Steve, you can pass them out afterwards. And our culture is very clearly defined. It's 14 bullet points, and they're all designed around the concept of creating leaders. Creating leaders to go out and run those branches. Because leaders create growth. Growth creates opportunity for more leaders. More leaders will then go out and create growth. It's this cyclical snowballing effect with absolutely no limits, as long as we stay disciplined to it. Right? So, as a matter of fact, when I took this class, we had 30 team members spread across 3 locations. 2 years later, we have 60 team members in 6 locations. That just speaks to the power of developing leaders. So how do we do that, right? It's easy to say we create leaders. We create leaders by helping people uncover and discover what their strengths are. And we use the DISC and the behavioral sciences to do that. Once we discover what someone's gifts are, right? Because we all have gifts. Steve, you've got gifts. Tim, you've got gifts. I have gifts, right? But we're all high Ds, so that probably wasn't a great example because we're all the same. But you know where I'm going with this, right? So we have people, we discover strengths, and then we teach them that those strengths, like I said, are gifts. They truly are gifts, and they're gifts that are valued to the organization, and they're gifts that are valuable and unique to them. And they can use those gifts to make an impact at work, right? And the beauty of that is if they can make an impact at work and we get them in the right role and we develop and nurture those gifts, they're inevitably going to go home and they're going to be better husbands, they're going to be better wives, they're going to be better fathers, better sons, better daughters. So it truly is touching many, many lives. So, what our process and what we're trying to do is go out there and create a paradigm, if you have an X and Y axis, of maximizing employee satisfaction, engagement, and impact on the organization. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what our culture has created. Now, everyone in our organization has a talent plan. So if you come in, we do the DISC profile on you, we uncover your gifts, and then we set you out on a career growth plan to help nurture and develop those gifts, right? We're getting millennials who are right here, and our goal as leaders is to get them to right here. Because if they get right here, guess what? The company goes right up with it. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And the tools that you're going to learn over the next 2 days can give you the ability to do that. And what are the main ones that I look back and I took away? It's the ability to understand how to listen, right? How to understand others. And when you do that, you start to develop relationships. And when you can develop relationships with your teams, that's really the foundation of leadership, right? You get a team who's going to follow you because you've got that strong bond and strong relationship. I mean, what you can do is limitless. You can be unstoppable. So that's what we do. We use the tools that you're going to learn in this class to go out and enrich lives. That's really what we do. So prior to this class, I used to measure success by revenues and bottom lines, right? I think a lot of us do. We still measure those, but that's not how I define my success anymore. I define my success of 2016 as 60 lives touched, who went home and impacted 60 families, spread across 6 communities that have been enriched. And to me, that's creating a legacy. So I want to be respectful of the time today, but I want to share one more thing. And I think this speaks more than what I've said through my entire 10 minutes or so here. I walked into my office about a year ago, and there was a card sitting on my desk with my name on it, right? Terry. And it wasn't my birthday. That's actually today. Thank you. You're welcome. It wasn't Boss's Day, right? That was yesterday. So I was surprised, but there was a card and had my name on it, so I opened it up, and there's an eagle on the front. And it says inside, it says, Terry, there are a lot of things that I would like to say to you, but I have limited space. First, thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to work with such a great business family and believing in me. I can't say how much that I feel honored to be a part of something special. Second, without a father figure in my life, it has been a struggle for me to find someone to look up to. Terry, you resemble everything that I want to be as a person, and I thank you for that. Not to sound corny, but you've helped me through tough times, and it has been much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like for you to take this money and have a date night with your beautiful wife. And there was $100 in here. And this is a guy who works in operations and makes $12 an hour. You know what I mean? That's making an impact. That's touching a life. And that's the power of the 2 days you're going to go through.